You know, perch are prevalent across the Midwest, but there's a few places you can go where they grow giants, and this is one of them. Devil's Lake up in north central North Dakota. But like anywhere else, there's some tips and tricks to catching these fish because they have their own preferences. And I'm going to show you exactly what they are on Fish Ed. Got him. You know, I don't care where you fish for perch, whether you're out here on Devil's Lake, that's a great jumbo to start our day right there. But I don't care if you're on Devil's out here, or if you're on Mille Lacs Lake, or Leech Lake, or Lake of the Woods, it really doesn't matter. Perch are curious no matter where you go. And that's why when I drop down in the morning, I start with the same bait every time. I start with a rattling flyer spoon. This is a 16th ounce, and there's a reason I do that. This thing's got rattles in there, and when I work this thing, what it does is it brings fish in from a distance, especially perch, because they're so curious. And you would think as a perch gets bigger that maybe he would be a little bit more wary, but he's not, because what happens is when perch hit a size like that, he's now a predator. He's not scared of those walleyes or those pike anymore. He is one of the predators that will swim with them, so he's curious. He'll come in. So remember that when you drop down, put something down there that's going to bring fish in. Now there's a couple other things I do. One of the things is when I see a fish on the screen like that, I don't stop moving it, because remember, like I said, he's very curious. If you stop it, a lot of times he'll think, well, maybe it's not what I thought, and he'll just swim away. So just keep jiggling it, watching that rod tip, because all of a sudden he'll just grab it like that one did. And one of the things I do, if you watch the way I line up in the house, and I'm going to show this to you really quick, but my rod tip is directly in line with my graph. And I'll tell you why I do that. I want to watch that flasher, and all of a sudden I see red and I know he's there, but I want to be able to keep my eye on that and my rod tip at the same time, because a lot of times all they'll do is this. All they'll do is a little pull and you'll barely feel it. So you need to be able to set the hook. So get yourself lined up and it'll help you catch a lot more fish. Let's get baited up and get another one. Another one on right there. I got him. You see how important that was? I mean, I was lined up. I could see the fish come up, and right when I dropped down, he was there. Oh yeah, look at that. It's another good jumbo. It's even bigger than the first one. That's what you come to Devil's Lake for right there. Look at the size of that one. You know, locations we're fishing, they're not that complicated, and they're pretty similar no matter where you go. Now today, look at that fish. Wow. Today we started on a spot where what happens here is, this is an area that's flooded over the years, okay? I'm on soft bottom. Now down there, there's little pieces of structure here and there, and on Devil's Lake, that might be sticks, twigs, and you'll see them on your flasher. You know, you'll walk around and look in different areas, and you can actually see things down there, and they'll show up in green, and you know it's a stick if you can move a foot or two, just dropping your transducer on the ice and see them. The other thing about this, though, is I'm on a transition between soft bottom and hard bottom, but I'm on the soft bottom side. And that's where I always start, especially early in the year, because these perch are still in those areas they were at in the fall when they were feeding really heavy, and they were feeding on bugs and small minnows. And that's exactly what's going on here. I'm still in that shallow stuff because we're still early in the year. You know, anytime I'm thinking up to January 15th, I'm still thinking early in the year. So I'm in that soft bottom side. But here's what happens as the year rolls on. Sometimes they'll slide out to that hard bottom and work their way back and forth. It's pretty regular though that right now they're going to feed over on the soft bottom side. So find those transitions and get yourself on the soft bottom side. You're going to find the bait. Once you find the bait, you're going to find the jumbos. Here he comes. You see that? One after another, man. It's just too much fun when you can't even I mean, I literally am just dropping down one after another, getting them. Look at that, another great jumbo. Come on up here. Here we go. He's right on it now. I think he's got a couple buddies. There he is. Oh boy, I don't know if that's a perch. If that's a perch, it's a big perch. There's a chance this is a walleye. There's a good chance this is a walleye. You know, that's one of the things about where we're fishing. Oh, you know what? Maybe he's a perch. Oh, geez, look at this one. When you start mistaking fish like that for potentially a walleye, you know how big a perch that is. But look at that, you know. That thing just inhaled that rattling flyer spoon, and they'll eat that whole thing. You know, I want to talk a little bit about the bait I'm using, though, too, because it makes a big difference. I'm using baits based on what these fish are feeding on. Okay, now, you can catch perch with a spoon and a minnow head, or you can catch perch with a spoon and larva or waxworms. Now, today, I'm using waxworms, and I'll tell you why. These fish are still feeding on bugs. There is no doubt that they're on bugs, and that's why we're up in the soft bottom catching them. I gotta find my pliers here. When you're up here in this soft bottom, though, there's no reason to drop a minnow head down there. You don't need to, because the Eurolarvas and the waxworms are exactly what they're used to feeding on. Another great perch for the bucket. Look at that. Devil's Lake just produces some monsters. But when you look at that, all I do is I cake that larva or those waxworms on there, and I bounce that thing around, okay? And they're used to eating exactly that. But what I do every now and then, because I know they're feeding on stuff that's down in the bottom, is I bang it on the bottom every now and then I lift it up. I'm doing that for two reasons. One, I'm laying that bait down in the bottom. But secondly, by lifting it back up, then I'm getting the fish to move. Okay, now later in the year, especially when these fish move out into some deeper stuff, when they slide out into that hard bottom, they're going to shift. They're going to start feeding on minnows. If I was fishing over hard bottom today, I would fish this same spoon, but I'd put a minnow head on it, and that would make all the difference. So keep that in mind. When you're over soft bottom, use your larvas and your waxworms. When you slide out over deeper water as the year rolls on, get on your minnows, because that's what they're feeding on. And that's when I'll also use a dead stick. You notice today I've drilled the second hole. I'm not even using it. These fish are coming in so fast and hitting this spoon that I don't even need to use that second hole. I'm going to get to my 20 perch limit pretty easily the way things are going this morning. Ooh, got a couple of them there. There's more than one there. That's a lot of red. There he is. Oh, nope, he didn't have it. Got him. Boy, that guy, he did everything in his power to not get caught. I missed him 2 times. Finally got him. What a great way to finish up the day. That's just a monster perch. Hey, you know, the keys to the catch today were actually pretty simple when you look at it. It was finding the right location. Finding that transition between hard bottom and soft bottom, but then being on the correct side of it. And then putting down a bait that made a lot of racket. Brought these perch in because they're coming in so fast, I don't even need to have a dead stick. I'm just fishing one line today. Look at that. I almost lost that fish at the end of the day. He flopped out right out of my hand into that other hole. But hey, for more current and up-to-date information and a whole lot of fun, check back with us next week on Fish Ed.